as we come towards the end of this amazing summit, I am sitting in so much gratitude right now. I'm tired and exhausted and happy. Like, been hiking up a summit, you're at the top of the mountain, and then you get to see the view, and the view is beautiful. I couldn't be more happy in this moment because the universe has brought me another lighthouse, a beautiful, beautiful keynote speaker that I'm over the moon excited to introduce you, Jolie. Her name is Jolie Wilson, and she is a channel for the what's it called? The Galactic Council. Oh, she certainly is a true channel for the Galactic Council because this is how I found her, or she found me, or the universe just aligned it. All three are true. She's doing some amazing work. What I love about Jolie Wilson the most is she is communicating about things that are difficult to communicate and channeling divine wisdom that, for me, is in alignment with love, truth, kindness, and shedding light on some very important topics. She's also a yoga studio owner of Full Circle Yoga in Florida. She's also got another business called Evolve, and it is a temple space for awakening consciousness. So we're very much aligned in our mission, our purpose, our path. And Jolie, it's so great to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm incredibly honored. And as you can tell, ear to ear, Gren, this is just not only so beautiful, but so fun and needed, and all of the things that we get to be now as we're co-creating the new earth. It is such an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And, for all of you out there, you know that I've just in the middle of publishing, it's being printed, an oracle deck called Awaken the Oracle Within. Well, one of the cards in the deck is a lighthouse, and the lighthouse is a symbol in this summit. And, where I live in Island Bay, we've got three lighthouses right across the bay, and I see the lights flicker. So I've always had this affinity with lighthouses. And I go on to Jolie's page, and there's a lighthouse with this amazing poem that is so similar to what I wrote that's in my oracle deck. And I took it as a sign, like a sign that this person needs to be in my summit. So I contacted her immediately. She contacted me back and said, yes, and here we are. So I love that the universe brings us together in these magical ways. As Colette Baron Reed says, you just can't make this shit up. Like, life is magical. It is truly magical. Can you share a little bit about what the lighthouse means to you before we get started?
Yes, and thank you for asking. And I must say, when you mentioned Colette's quote, I got chill bumps all over because that's exactly how this works. When just the most magical, auspicious things happen that you couldn't have made better, even if you tried. That's the true magic of this work that we're doing. But yeah, the lighthouse is just such a powerful beacon because as light workers, we tend to, many of us, we kind of like overserve, overgive. We want to help, we want to fix, we want everyone to be happy and to know the things that we know, but that's not really the way of it. The way is to just be the light, steady, strong, and firm. And I just love some of the things that go along with it. Like, you're not here to argue with pirates or to yell at the wind or to get in there into the storm and tell it to stop. Those things are futile. And in fact, it charges and amplifies the very things that you don't want to be happening. And the better energy to embody is the soul sovereignty of divine light, being the lighthouse that as the winds increase and the storms rage around and the ships are trying to navigate by your light, you're unaffected. You just shine. And in fact, not only do you shine, but when the storms rage and the winds blow harder, you shine brighter. And you get to do that through joy and play and fun. And these are all things that are, I think, really just coming back for us, that are more available now. We're living in a time and an age where we're not in the Great Depression. And, we have, if you're like us, I mean, most of us have our basic needs met, right? Of food, shelter, and water. And we're in such an interesting modern age that sometimes we forget it doesn't have to be hard. We don't have to sacrifice our energy, our happiness, or our health to do this work anymore. And by being a sovereign lighthouse, it takes care of what's happening around. It shines the light, and the shadow networks and things of these nature cannot withstand the light. And that's all you have to do. So I love the lighthouse as well. And we have one in Key West. And I've already planned, well, I don't have the date like written, but I've already planned that I'm going to go to that lighthouse and I'm going to climb up to the top and I am going to send you and all the other lighthouse souls love and just help connect the light grid even more powerfully.
Oh, I love that. Wouldn't it be fun if you tell me when you do that and I can go to the
Yeah.
lighthouse here and do the
Yeah,
same?
for sure.
That would be
For
amazing.
sure.
It's about a
Yeah.
45-minute drive because it's
Mhm.
around the bays on the other side. But I would totally do it if we can
Yeah.
align it and like send light out. That would be so much fun. Maybe we can get
So,
everyone in the summit to go to a lighthouse.
yeah. Or even just, stand as a lighthouse, right? I mean, just
Yeah, that's
stand
right.
outside with your feet on the earth and mm, just be it. Yeah, I see a lot of that in the future. Many more like gatherings and meditations and light code anchoring and all this stuff. And I'm so appreciative of what you're doing with this summit because you really are bringing all of us together. And when we do that, we form a light grid through our souls across the earth. So thank you for this summit and all of the hard work. I mean, nobody knows but you. We can try to imagine, but the sleepless nights and everything that you've done to make this happen is just so incredible. And thank you because the work is more powerful than any of us could even fathom.
Oh, thank you, Jolie. Thank you so much for that acknowledgement. You're so beautiful. And you came in exactly at the right timing. You know, I
Mhm.
needed your light and your reflection. And when you sent me that transmission, which I sent to all my summit speakers, by the way, and they loved it. They're like, oh, we needed to hear this. It
Yeah.
just gives you that affirmation, confirmation that you're on the right path. You're doing exactly what you're meant to do. Not that I have any doubt that this is my path, but it's just nice to hear it. It's like, a beacon of light and warmth and love and kindness and beauty. So thank you for being a lighthouse on, this planet when there's so much darkness. And it is a convergence of light leaders and light workers. And I love your, share about being a lighthouse. It's beautiful. I'm so grateful. And I'm so excited about this conversation. What a great start.
Yeah, so amazing. I've already gotten chill bumps at least 2 or 3 times. So it's magical for sure.
It is. I call them truth bumps. And I get truth bumps anytime something rings true or
Mhm.
important. And I got them when I met you.
Yeah.
When I saw your post, I got those truth bumps. It was like, pay attention, share this post, even though it's probably gonna stir some people up. And I did get some negative comments so that I had to block. And I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Sign of a true leader. When you make waves and people get triggered, that means there's something going on that you need to pay attention to.
Yeah. You are very correct in that.
Yeah, I remember when I first came out as a priestess and I got so much, I got attacked quite a lot. And someone in my goddess support circle, she said something that rang true. She says, if you're getting attacked, you're doing something right, Schamet. Keep going. Because when you get the haters, that means you're effectively creating change in the world because it stirs things up. And I thought, wow, that's so interesting. But it's been my truth so far. And so, as a lighthouse and a beacon, we shine our light in some dark places. And when that light gets turned on, everything kind of starts moving. And if we can stay in our lighthouse, like you're talking about, and our roots firmly planted in the earth, then we can get to a place, it takes time, to not take it personally.
Yeah. I'm still working on it myself, and I probably always will be, because at the end of the day, we care, and we know that those people that we're triggering are just as beautiful at a soul level as anyone else. So it's hard, it's hard because we care, and that's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I have this analogy. I call it the log in the woods. Like, when you're a kid and you're going through the woods and you're like, oh, I think I'll just see what's under this log or this rock, and you pick it up. And I love all the little darkness creatures, like the little potato bugs and little like centipedes. But what happens? You shine the light and they go scurrying, and just exactly what you said, it kind of stirs it up because, these things, even if it's just a beautiful person with a really heavy negative belief system, it'll still shine the light in there, and it's like that scurrying energy takes place, and they're just not sure what to do with it. It's not wrong, but we all could learn some tools. We all could learn some more tools to just sit with what arises and what maybe it has to teach us, so that we can respond instead of react. Because, oh my goodness, there's just been so much um, reaction lately, division, and I know that for a lot of people seems negative, but I don't see that. I see this as progress. Just like cleaning out a messy closet, it's gonna get a little messier, a little wonkier, a little like, ooh, there's more in there than we thought. But some people are like, oh, what's this world coming to? It's worse than ever. And I'm like, it's better than ever. It's happening. Like, it's actually happening now. And I am so excited. And I wish everyone love and peace and joy. But I'm like, this is what I'm here for. Is this like, we're pulling the roots out, we're shining the light. And it's just, I feel like this is one of the most exciting times in all of history.
Oh, I love that reflection. I love that. I really needed to hear that. It's so true, isn't it? We've been so conditioned to go into that negative, oh, the world's gone to hell in a handbasket. That's what my grandmother used to say,
I've
right?
heard that many times. Yeah.
But the new paradigm is like, instead of the world's gone to hell in a handbasket, it's like, well, actually, everything's being talked about. The Me Too movement, like things are really transforming. You're right. Like there's a lot of change happening. And even though, when you have a river and then you change the course of that river, it's going to get muddy. The water's not going to be as clear as it usually is. And so there's a lot of upheaval, but it is necessary, and it's exciting, and it's riveting actually. And this is what I came here for too. So I love that. Oh, what a great start. Yay. I love it. Thank you, Jolie. You're such a light leader. I love it. So, my first question for you today is, what does leadership mean to you?
Mm, I love this question, and I just have to honor you again because I loved what you brought up in the summit about using the word ship. Like we are vessels, like the body is a vessel that's carrying the soul through this lifetime. And I just think about ships, and then it makes me think of like our ancient ancestors and our star seed roots, and almost like, and I saw a light ship in the sky with my boyfriend some months ago. And so this like ship is such a powerful analogy that I hadn't rooted on before. So I love that because it's about embodiment. However, leadership, it's about walking together now, isn't it? Right? It's not I'm ahead, or I know this, or do this my way. To me, leadership is meeting people exactly where they are on their path. I always say, like, as long as someone isn't, you know, actually doing something harmful, I just like to let people be, and maybe offer some inquiries or some thoughtful questions around what they're saying if I recognize that there's a higher timeline or a higher vibration to hold within that. But I just think that in this day and age, true leadership, the leadership that you and I are talking about today, is about walking side by side, hand in hand, together. And isn't there a beautiful quote, like, we're all just walking each other home? That's what I feel is leadership, is just true togetherness and wanting what's best for the other, even if it's different than what you personally believe.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, I had the vision of the ship too. So that's interesting that you're talking about that, because I keep seeing us all on this ship together, like a
Uh,
light leadership, and that's beautiful that you had that vision. That's another affirmation that we're exactly in the right place and meant to be on the ship together. Beautiful. I love that so much. Collaboration, not competition, is the one
oh,
that keeps
that's
coming up for me over and over. Yeah. Do you want to speak into that a little bit?
Sure. And thank you so much, because it's something that's just been a part of my existence. I've been doing the yoga and meditation type of things for 25 years, and over 10 years now with yoga teacher trainings and yoga studios and things of this nature. And I was unpleasantly surprised over this last 10 years or so to discover just how many people that I thought were just like me. Oh, you're doing yoga, great. There's enough for all of us, right? Like, you do it, I do it. It's 1 + 1 = 3. But no, that is not what I have experienced. I have experienced a lot of competition, people even being downright unpleasant. We don't need to go into that. So I appreciate what you're saying, because I feel like I've been a collaborative person my entire life. And it can be a little disappointing to realize that even though people may have moved into a wellness spiritual space, it doesn't necessarily mean that they understand these principles of light leadership that we're talking about. And that's kind of a whole different level. I think it takes a lot of internal work, a lot of shadow work, getting over like limitation beliefs and scarcity things. And, as women, if we want to talk about women, we just naturally struggle with being seen and being heard and stepping into our sovereignty. So, I always give a lot of compassion, right? I always lead with compassion. But in that, it doesn't mean that it hasn't been fun. So you are so correct. And I already said it. It's like when we're connecting like this, people in this realm, this type of energy, I don't feel like it's 1 + 1 = 3 anymore. I feel like it's 1 + 1 = 11, 11. It's like explosively magical, powerful, angelically aligned. And that's what you and I have been experiencing. I feel like of course I've known you in other lifetimes, but I feel like I'm just connecting with my friend that I've known for decades. Yet today is our first time actually seeing each other in real time and speaking. So thank you for bringing that up
My
about collaboration. That's
My
key.
goddess, we have so much. We have so much. Such a deep, deep well, you and I. And I have also been in the yoga community for, oh gosh, I'm almost 51, and I started yoga at 18 years old. So it's been a long time. And I did
That's
my
amazing.
training. I became a yoga teacher. I was teaching all over the Wellington area, and I led retreats, and I bumped up into exactly what you're talking about, this very competitive energy that was not in honoring of the sacred sisterhood at all. And I was so shocked, actually. The rose colored glasses, because when you're a student of yoga, it's very different energy than becoming a teacher. And I came face to face with understanding that, and this has been a big understanding that we talked about a little bit before we started recording, that the new paradigm is birthing inside of us. And the old paradigm is still existing in all of us. And, we're not there yet. like, and I thought
Yeah.
that we were in the yoga community. I thought that's where all the evolved spiritual people were, like me. And then I realized, no, they're not. And it was a heartbreak, but it was also this level of awareness of like, in all realms, the yoga community and people that don't do yoga. And actually, some people that don't do yoga at all are more spiritually evolved than some of the people that are doing the yoga. And so it kind of broke apart my preconceptions of where things are at. And also, I must say, it kind of forced me into a deeper level of my own spiritual growth and spiritual path to be able to hold the compassion, the understanding, the love for people that I thought were more spiritually evolved than they actually are. So it deepened my own spiritual growth. So it all happens for a reason, but I'm right there with you, sister.
Yeah,
We
deep
want
breath.
it to be a circle. We want it to be a circle, but we're still all learning and growing, and we all have our wounds, right? There's a really big
Absolutely.
sister wound, mother wound, like all the
Which will
wounds,
keep
the
going.
witch wound.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah,
How much time you got?
I know, exactly. So, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you for acknowledging that. Such a mirror. It's been a big part of my own growth. And we just keep going forward and being the lighthouses of who we are. And I know and I can see that it has strengthened who you are and what you do as it has me. But it still is painful to acknowledge that it is still sad when it happens. And when we come together, like you and I coming together, it's like, oh, someone that's where I am that really wants love and collaboration over competition. And it's layers and layers as we move through all of these different energies. So thank you for doing the work that you're doing, and having the yoga studio, and to keep going forward in the way that you are as a lighthouse and not getting triggered and going into anger and resent, right? The lower levels of energy. You've risen above those lower levels. And thank you for doing that work. It's all coming
Thank
full circle.
Yeah, oh, I love those words.
I feel like I'm having a full circle moment right now. I'm like,
I feel
oh,
like I'm
wow.
having one every hour of maybe every minute of every hour of every day.
And when you said one plus one doesn't equal three, it equals 1111. I'm like, oh yes, absolutely. 1111 is a portal that I've had so much magic with all my life. And so the last 30 years, 1111, 1111, everywhere, all the time. I'm like, wow. So yes, agreed.
Yes.
I've got your number, you've got my number. It's 1111. Love that. So, do you, my dear, consider yourself a leader?
I do. And I assume you want me to expand on that.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been a leader my whole life. I think I first noticed it in high school. chose to incarnate into a very energetically dense geographical location in West Virginia. And my childhood was very blessed. I had parents that were teachers who were very kind, very loving, and taught me how to be independent. But I never felt like I fit in. And then I ended up going to a high school that was not in the district that we lived in, but I went to the high school across the river, which I'm just now picking up analogies. I'm constantly channeling as I talk. And that was also difficult. So even though my parents taught at that high school, it was a high school that I didn't know anybody. And I remember making that decision. Like I can go where it's comfortable, the cooler high school, the more popular high school, whatever, or I can cross the river to the south side and I can do high school there. And I was very connected to my parents, and they did not put any pressure on me, but it just felt right because their energy was there. And I suppose that's probably around the time, you're probably 15, going on 16, where you start to have more self-awareness. And I wouldn't have had these words then, but I was like, oh, I'm really kind of different. And it's not easy for me to connect socially. Like I had one best friend, right? And so I think part of me took the leadership path as something to do to feel connected. So by the time I was like senior in high school, I was a senior class president, had to give a speech at graduation. I was like, captain of the dance team I was on, and like student government, honor society, like anything, I ran it basically. And I think I did that in a sense to stay busy, but also again to have that connection that I was always seeking, that I've always deeply been seeking, the connection with like-minded, heart-centered people. And so it really started there. And like you've already asked, it's definitely evolved. I realize now, looking back at that, I see in my mind this little like pictograph of this like little stick figure person, and then there's like this group down here and they're like a different color, and now it's evolved to where I see people like you, and I see us holding hands across and around the earth, so it's no longer separate. So I do feel I'm a leader, and I feel that I've been that way since birth. And I'm sure that density really prepared me for today, because I do remember being terrified to do this speech at graduation. I almost didn't run for senior class president because I had that much fear of speaking in front of the entire class and all the parents and everybody. It was so terrifying. I almost didn't run, but I remember then I was still guided. It was like, you have to. And you're scared, okay, then you definitely have to. And I think that set me up for success. And then I've just been in those kinds of spaces ever since. Once I had my children, I raised them and had a home daycare, and I watched other children just to make a little more income, but be home with my kids. And then as soon as they were old enough, I stepped right into all things spiritual, running my first yoga studio, leading yoga teacher trainings, leading retreats. And the leading word keeps coming in. So yeah, I do feel I'm a leader. Thank you.
Beautiful. I love that answer so much. It reminds me, I've just had this flash as you were talking about like Jim Morrison being on stage, and he had such social anxiety that he had to have
Hey,
his back to the audience for the longest
I
time until
love
he could
that.
turn around. Yeah. And when I did my yoga teacher training, I would like break out in sweats and like and anxiety, and like I'm like, I want to be a yoga teacher, but I can't even like make it past being seen. Like this is a bit of a problem. And I hear you, for the public speaking and everything, I would just panic, hands sweaty, like racing. And it wasn't until someone told me, they said, well, it's not about you, Schamet. It's about serving. It's about the people. It's about the message. Like, why go back to the why of why do you want to be a yoga teacher? Why do you feel the need to, be on stages and talk to people. And I was like, well, it's all about the awakening. It's all about being of service. It's all about helping. And so that is what anchored me into finding my voice and getting over myself of like, okay. And, can you imagine if Jim Morrison never turned around? Like, it's so important, isn't it? So thank you, Jolie, for, what led you there so that you could be of service. And that's my grounding point, my mantra is it's it's about not about the little I or the little me, it's about the message, right? And so how can I step up into that message and serve the greater good and awaken consciousness? And so, yeah. Oh, like you, when I speak, I channel. So hopefully this is helping someone that needs to hear it today. Uh, yeah, yeah. It's powerful work. I can see that you're a leader, a very powerful light leader on the planet. So, and it's a
Thank
big
you.
responsibility to accepting that, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does old paradigm leadership mean to you?
I think the separation that we kind of briefly spoke on, the even just, and I know everybody's so sticky about the government stuff, but even like having a president and he's almost like put on some kind of pedestal, that's just why all these things are starting to crack and crumble, and all this seemingly chaos is kind of happening because these structures are crumbling. So this old way of I'm in a position and you all are beneath me kind of an energy is no longer being accepted in this reality that we are co-creating, this timeline that we're evolving into. It doesn't fit anymore. It's all those things that we've already said, just the collaboration, the walking each other home, the I'm with you, not, above you or any of these types of things. So yeah, I feel that those things are really starting to crack, and I do believe already crumbling, but right now we just I'm sure you've seen it, like an iceberg or like on a nature show where the ice starts to crack and you're like, ooh, it's gonna keep going, and then the little pieces are gonna float apart, like those fissures are growing right now, right? And it's like it's actually happening. So anything of that nature has got to go. It can't remain.
So true. I love that analogy of because you can't stop it either once it's started.
You just gave me the truth bump. I like to call them spirit bumps sometimes too.
Yeah, yeah. Spirit bumps. I love that. It's true because once it starts, it just keeps going, and we're all witnessing it. And
Yes.
wow, it's incredible. And in order for there to be change, this is the process, this is the journey. So, mm,
Yeah. Change is about the only thing you can count on. I'm pretty sure there's a quote about that. Change is the only constant. If you
yeah,
want something to count on change.
yeah. And the only thing that you can't change is change itself. I think that's one of them.
I haven't heard that one. That's great.
Oh, I love it. And what does new paradigm leadership mean to you?
I felt that in my heart. As soon as you said new paradigm leadership, I just felt this beautiful heart chakra energy of expansion, of togetherness, of the 1 + 1 = 11. I mean, that's what's so cool about this. And it was something that was coming through earlier that I wanted to share. So it's coming back around from spirit because they're like, this is really important. I don't have the exact number, and I think it's different for everyone, but I think what's really important, like not bringing ego into it, or that, oh, those of us who are on this path of co-creating the new earth and ending human trafficking, it's not that we're special or better than, or any of these things, but one of us, just one of us, being awake, being a lighthouse. Again, I don't know the actual number, but I've been told that one of us in this energy is like millions. of others on this planet in low density. And we forget that because we've been told lifetime after lifetime that we were, not of the light, right? We were silenced, we were burned, we were poisoned, we were taken out over and over and over again. So we come in with these imprints and like we know this, like at a soul level. But we have to remember that in this new paradigm that you're asking about of leadership, just one of us being a lighthouse is so powerful. Like we're no longer just a little drop in the ocean that does have a huge ripple effect. It's like a bomb in the ocean, and the light codes and the frequencies are reaching out and doing the work that it would take hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to do if they weren't in this type of soul sovereignty lighthouse energy. And I think it's really important to remember that. Like, we can't know how powerful we are. Like, you creating this summit and that ripple effect of all of these leaders you're bringing together and all of the people that are going to connect to this summit, like, just that is so powerful. Like, so powerful. And it affects every single being on this planet because we are that powerful. And this is the time that we've been waiting for in history.
So true. It's so true. Thank you for that reflection. That's so beautiful and well said. And it's true. I agree with you 100%. I'm having a little bit of a flashback memory of my best friend. I have many best friends, but one of my best friends. I go, oh, that's my best friend. That's my best friend. My kids are like, Mom, how many best friends do you have? I'm like, oh, I guess I do have quite a lot. So one of my best friends, when we first met, she said that she had a hard time with me. I mean, she just recently told me this after many years of knowing her. She said she had a really hard time because it was like I could see through her. And she said when I would look at her, it reflected back to her all the parts of herself that she didn't want to acknowledge. And it wasn't until when I got truth bumps, it wasn't until she could actually acknowledge all of those parts herself that she then was happy for me to see her. And I was like, wow, really? I had that effect on you? And she says, oh, you have no idea how intense you are. And I was like, no, I guess I don't. Like, really? She goes, oh, it was so intense, Schamet. And she said, but I really, really liked you. And I knew that we were going to be really good friends, but I also knew that I had to make peace with myself and to be able to see myself and to be okay with what I was seeing. And I was like, wow. And she goes, so I've gone through a huge transformation in being your friend. Like, so, I'm getting like that reflected back is that we sometimes don't know how powerful our presence of us just being who we are in this world can impact others. And until they, reflect that back, we don't know. But what I'm hearing you say is that we are way more powerful than we even understand or comprehend. And it's such a good reminder of the power of being a lighthouse in this world. Thank
Yeah.
you. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, truly. And if I can just add to that, because I think it's a really important point, especially with ending human trafficking, because it was something that I struggled with so long. And it is true. I remember hearing an interview with Carolyn Miss, if I'm saying her name right. She's got published books and all the things, but she said that evil relies on light workers looking the other way, saying, not my monkeys, not my circus. But what I've also come to realize, because I do believe she's correct, if we don't want to know, like, and not that we need to go getting in there and like watching every documentary and reading every article and like, right, like we need to stay in the light. But if we turn our head and we're like, I don't want to know about that, I don't want to hear about that, I don't want to get involved in that, that is actually how the shadow networks do their work, is by all of us looking the other way. Now, that said, we don't need to get in there and argue and fight in the dark. And we kind of mentioned this already. Like, that is actually amplifying those energies. So I just really feel called to say to people, because as they're watching this, and the summit has been happening, it's you don't have to do anything. So the Galactic Council has told me my mission is to find certain soul groups. I'm a soul activator. I need to go do retreats around the world and activate like earth codes and anchor all this stuff. I'm excited about that because that's the kind of person I am, and that's what I came here to do. This is probably my last life on earth. If I do come back, it's one more time just to enjoy the new earth that we have all co-created. So I'm like literally on a mission. And you and I are having this conversation, and I sense that there's going to be a lot of people watching this who are like, wow, I want to help. I want to be a lighthouse. Like, but maybe I'm not like doing all these things and leading summits and speaking and da 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 da. Well, what they keep telling me over and over and over is you don't have to do anything except make your life as happy and joyful as possible, right? So, like, transmute the low vibrational beliefs about the world and, oh, this is wrong and everything's crazy, and just keep working on yourself and on your inner world, and just get yourself into higher and higher and higher states of vibrational living through what you eat, what you consume in the media, the people you spend time with, your relationships. Maybe you're in a profession and you want to start doing some more spiritual stuff. Great, but you don't have to jump in and do, the big things. Just existing, because you said the word presence, and it's like, yes, presence. Just being present in your physical body as one of these souls is enough. And I feel like I just want to say that because being the lighthouse is how all of those shadow structures crumble. And every time one of us lights up or turns the flame a little bit brighter, they just keep crumbling. So I just felt it was really important to share that, because sometimes it feels overwhelming, right? Like, we see the world and how can little me really make an impact? Maybe I should be lobbying, maybe I need to be out with signs, and that's great if you feel called to that, but ultimately just being in a state of happiness and joy is more than enough.
Absolutely. Um, I'm on a big mission too, and I'm a last lifer as well. So there's another
Yeah.
thing that we have in common. I've been told by many psychics that this is my last life, and I resonate with that. I think that's why my mission is so big. And I believe we all have a soul path purpose, and we all have a reason for being here, or many reasons. And it's when we connect to that alignment of why we came here to this planet. And some of us, like my darling son, he's like, Mom, I've just come here to have fun. Like, that's my mission. I'm here just to enjoy. And I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, okay. I mean, he's not quite 18 yet, and it may shift and change as he gets older. But he feels that his mission is to enjoy life as much as possible, and to have fun, and have that enjoyment. And I think maybe that is the path for some people. And
It is.
at the end of the day, it's about being authentic to who you are and what your expression is. Like, I have to do what I'm doing. Like, it's just my path.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, I'd like to just lay on a hammock and enjoy and rest and relax, but I get to do both. So that's,
Yeah.
and we just be in alignment with who we are, like who we authentically are, what we feel called to do. So I love that. I think that really needed to be heard
Yeah.
because, as lighthouses and empathic healers, we tend to sometimes take the weight of the world onto our shoulders, and that doesn't help anyone. And so take the weight off and be the lighthouse and do what you can do. I'd love to share your poem underneath this video. Can I do that with the lighthouse?
Please do. Yes, it
Yeah.
would be an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Because it's a really good grounding mantra about not being a fixer and a
Exactly. Yeah.
rescuer, right? Which a lot of us tend to do. We want to
It's
save the
hard not
world. We
to.
want to change the
Yeah.
world. We want to help. And we get in there and we're like sending out the rescue boats. And like, that's not being a lighthouse.
No. It's beautiful and it's exhausting
Yeah. Take it
and
from
not
me. I know
necessary.
it's exhausting. I've
Yeah,
done
yeah.
it, been there, done that. And I'm like, I am no longer the rescue boat. I am the lighthouse.
Which I feel like is kind of a necessary initiation. Like I would love it if people see this and, they start out younger, not going down those paths. But I think in some sense it's a necessary initiation to really step into true soul sovereignty.
No, that's true. That's true. You're quite right. I had to become completely exhausted by being the rescuer for many years until I had enough and went, okay, I think I just want to be the lighthouse now. But I don't know if I would have gotten to that personal sovereignty without having that experience.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
true.
Sometimes we need to know what we don't want. And I did want to speak to your son really quick because one of my quantum hypnosis sessions I did with someone who's a very powerful soul in these soul groups that we've been talking about. Well, her divine self said she is having a vacation life. And that's very much a really beautiful thing to just be here and be just beautiful flower blooming in the sun. It's perfection, and I would like to be those people.
So
And the
funny
other
that
thing,
we're talking about Octavius right now, and he's just walked into the room and he's standing
of
right
course,
next to me. So
of course,
I'm gonna pause this for just
yeah,
one moment.
of course.
Well, that was amazing. We were talking about my son Octavius, and then here he was in the room wanting the car keys. So, Jolie, you had something that you wanted to share, a story?
Well, it's a quote that comes up all the time, and I just love this, like all the imagery and analogy that you bring into this, but the word summit, which is what we're participating in. There's a quote that I love because you mentioned light workers feeling like they have to carry it all, and I just love this quote. You were never meant to carry the mountain. You were only asked to climb it. So I think that's such a beautiful analogy of what us light workers do. We tend to sling everybody on our back like we have to like take them with us, but we can just climb the mountain and shine our light, and the path will be there for those who are ready to accept the journey, and we don't have to carry them because that gets really heavy really fast.
I love that because it is the responsibility of each person to climb the mountain.
Yeah.
I love that so much. That's so
And there's
beautiful.
nothing wrong with choosing density. And that's something that we forget. We get so excited about what we know and what's available and the way people can live that we forget that people chose their life. They chose the hardship, they chose the challenges because this is Earth school. And I've been told it's one of, if not the hardest place to incarnate in all of the multiverse. And like we are literally a cosmic reality show, and there are even species out there that have lost their emotions over time and too muchness, and they're like looking to us to get back something that they've lost. So I could go down a rabbit hole on that, but unless we see somebody like physically doing harm, right? Of course there's times to intervene, there's times to take action, of course, but otherwise we just got to remember that we can give the invitation, and that's enough. Just give the invitations out and just be the lighthouse. They'll find you if they're meant to, and they'll go on a different course if not, and it's all in divine order. It truly is.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that quote. That was exactly perfect. Like I know I needed to hear that as well. So thank you. And my next
Mhm.
question is, how do you feel about power?
Power. Like, what is power or
Yeah, what is power when you hear the word power? What does that conjure up
mm,
for you?
well, for me personally, it's this state of remembrance that I have recently fully stepped into. So I've been doing all these spiritual things for about 25 years now, and I've certainly gotten a lot of glimpses of past lives, and I've had very, very like auspicious things happen that, science would tell you isn't even possible. So for me, I've just been working up to this point. It's very recent in my life, like in the last months, like probably 2 months, that I just, spirit just keeps saying, "You've arrived, you've arrived, you have arrived." They're like, "You're no longer trying. Now you're in an anchoring phase, like as far as channeling." So for me, power is just really understanding like who I am at a soul level and all of the things. It's kind of like a movie. I know not everybody will know about the movie The Sixth Sense. I think it came out in the very late 90s with Bruce Willis, and it's a little boy who says, "I can see." you know but like you get to the end of the movie and then you find out that Bruce Willis is basically a ghost the entire movie, and then you go back and you replay like, "Oh my gosh, wait, oh my gosh, wait, that one thing, whoa, what?" And you just like go back and like replay every moment, everything. And so that's been happening to me recently as I come into full remembrance. I'm just like remembering all sorts of past lives and lives on other planets, and just that's power for me. It's not that I have to know every bit of it or tune into every bit of it, but it's like I know who I am, and that feels so good. And to take it further, because not everybody's in this like channeling space, power is just, it's a lot of things, but it's just truth. It's sovereignty, it's compassion, it's kindness, it's authenticity that you mentioned. I mean, that's true power when you can, all those things you and I talked about, like, oh, the competition, and oh, this happened, and oh, that was so disappointing, and oh, that crushed me. And when you can just still just be like, but I know who I am, and I know I'm in the right, mental, emotional, spiritual space. That all's just, what's that quote like? That's just the weather. You are the sky. All that is just the weather. It comes and goes, and you just keep being the sky. And I think that's true power when we get to that point where we're like, okay, I'm going to be learning the rest of my life. Like you said, I have wounds, I have healing, I have, things I'm still learning to navigate more eloquently. But I feel in my power. I feel that I have arrived. And that feels so great because it's come with decades of, I don't like to say hard work because I feel like those are negative terms, but it's come from decades of constantly tuning inward to my inner landscape and the unpleasant things that are actually my teachers rather than something negative in my life. And that's powerful.
Oh, I love that answer so much. That resonates with me so deeply. And I agree with you 100%. Um, that is really truly a place of empowerment and
Yes.
personal power when you can stand in your truth of this is me, this is who I am. Like, and that again, I just keep thinking about the lighthouse and how bright the light is within. And yeah, true power is trusting yourself, even when others may not see you, understand you, or deliberately, because you're shining your light on their dark places and they don't want to see it, they defensively, attack you. Um, and you're just, and all you're doing is shining your light. That's the funny part. I sometimes laugh. I'm like, it's so funny when this last time, I laughed when I got attacked because I thought, well, all I'm doing is offering a free summit and shining my light. And then I get this, I shared with you privately. I'll share with everybody here. I got this email that was someone very upset. And the irony of it was she subscribed to the summit. So it was
Yeah.
sent to her. And
Hmm.
just the her subscribing and it being sent was enough to trigger her wounds. And so then I got these quite intense, correspondence. And sometimes that's all we need to do is shine our light into the world and it can happen. And that place of power for me that I found in reflection to what you're saying, Jolie, and it was a huge breakthrough for me because in the past I have, because I'm an empath, taken on that energy and then gotten upset and then react, right? Don't treat me this way or whatever I say, which never ends very well, right? Because then the other person gets defensive and then you have a fire, right? It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. Instead, I was soft and strong, clear and concise, but kind. And I still, let her know that, if she sent me more messages like this, then I was going to have to block her because I'm not going to be abused. But I also held a place of love and a container of compassion. And I reached out and I said, you must be in a lot of pain right now. How can I help? How can I be of service? And that was a huge breakthrough for me in my own personal. Um, Instead of reacting, I responded. And instead of taking it personal, I realized she must be in pain, a lot of pain. And come to find out, she was. And she reached back out and she apologized. And she even offered for me to come and teach retreats where she lives. And it was, I'm going to get emotional here. It was amazing when I could
Yeah.
stand in a place of love and light and truly be a lighthouse and also have personal boundaries as well, but in a kind, beautiful way, how much that can shift things. So I love what you're saying. It's so true and it's so powerful. And I felt when I got the messages back from her and she's like, I'm so sorry. You triggered this and this and this. You're right. I'm in a lot of pain and I do need help and thank you so much. And like it created a whole transformation and healing in her and also in me.
Right.
And that is the new paradigm. Like when we can be that lighthouse, it is powerful and it's more powerful than anything I've ever experienced. Whew, thank you. Oh, love
And
this.
thank you, because that is the sign of true leadership and power, to recognize that and to hold that space of love and compassion. And I don't get tired of those kinds of experiences, right? Like I love it when that happens. Sure, in the moment, kind of like, ooh, I don't know if this person is really accessible. Should I even respond? But when we do respond and then that kind of growth happens, ooh, that's that's what we're here for. That is beauty. That is power. I love that.
The other piece of that is if they're reaching out or lashing out in that way, what came to me was it's a cry for help.
It
Because
is.
if they didn't want the engagement, they wouldn't have sent the message in the first place. She would have just blocked me, right? And unsubscribed. But that she didn't, that she lashed out to me was actually a cry for help. Now, I'm only finally this last year in a space where I could hold that kind of compassion and love. It's
A
taken me a
hundred
long
percent.
time to get here.
Me too.
So,
Yeah. Because we might be giving the impression that it's easeful. And you and I are in the similar age category. Like we've worked decades on this. And so beautiful to be here now
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, I want to
That
just
was
share that it's taken a lot of
yeah.
self-development, attention and awareness, and a lot of times getting it very wrong before I
Yeah.
finally been able to be in alignment with being able to hold um, this kind of wounding, this kind of a pain, you
Mhm.
know. But if I'm going to be saying transform your pain to your power to your passionate purpose, then I have to be able to also walk the walk and talk the talk. And so I've really come into that. Now, will I get it right tomorrow? I don't know. It's a day by day experience
Right.
because we're in turbulent times. And so I'm sharing this too, to just, for those that are listening, be loving and patient with yourself when you don't have the capacity to be able to hold that kind of energy.
Yeah. 100%. Beautifully said.
Thank you. Well, this is the perfect segue to lead into what are your top three qualities that you admire in a leader?
Mm, I love this. And that's not easy to pare down, but what stands out to me the most, and like you put all these words and it's not necessarily any order of importance, but kindness is right at the top of my list. And I feel like kindness embodies a lot of things. So, a word that I don't love is nice, because to me, the word like it being nice tends to be, in my opinion, maybe people pleasing, maybe saying yes when you want to say no, or saying no when you want to say yes because you're maybe caught up in, other things. So, kindness is just so powerful. I think it's a true mark of character, like who you are. Like, the diamond is formed under great pressure. Kindness to me is like the most beautiful silver, gold, platinum, rainbow diamond, that's ever existed. It's just so strong. And I hesitate to say I see such a lack of that these days, because again, I believe everything is unfolding perfectly. I see beauty, I see progress, I see a new earth. But it's kind of the things we've been chatting about. It's a challenging path to navigate, and um, I see it in really beautiful people. All those things we said, carrying the people on their back. That's niceness. That's not kindness. But kindness is just so important, because at the end of the day, we're all a perfect, amazing soul on a soul mission. And to be kind is just such a mark of a leader, because it's exactly what you just said with what you moved through. You had every right to lash out back. You had every right to say, I can't believe these messages you've sent me, right? Like, you had every right to react to that, but you sat with it and you were in your power, which I love empowerment, and you chose kindness and you chose to respond. And that is beautiful, incredible, and
Thank
amazing.
you.
And
I want to add to that that my
yeah,
husband,
please.
he was like, just block this person. Like, you don't have to deal with this. All that you're giving, all that you're doing.
And
He
that's
goes,
not wrong.
just ignore it. Just block it. And I said to my husband, I said, honey, I understand what you're saying because he wants to protect me, right? I said,
Yeah.
but that's not me. Like, that's you, and that's how you would do it. He goes, it's an SCP. It's someone else's problem. I said, yeah, but I'm here to help the world. And he goes, but she's not your problem. Like, you don't have time or energy to be dealing with that. You have more important things to do. And I sat with that. And, in a lot of ways, he's right. Like, I've got a lot on my plate. But for me, if I can make a change and an impact, even in just one person's life, then why wouldn't I try? If she, and I did put in the message, if you do this again, I will
Yeah,
block you. You're like,
right,
right?
right.
But I did offer that lifeline, and I'm so glad that I did. And that is kindness. I chose kindness. And I love that you bring this one up, number one, because my mother in law, she says, kindness is more important than love. And I'm like, what? More important than love? And she goes, yeah, but love is not always kind. But
Sure.
kindness is always kind. And it really like struck me. She said this to me a few years ago. And yeah, the power of kindness. And I love that you make the distinction between being nice and the good girl, right? That kind of people pleasing energy. Kindness is not that. It's entirely on its own. It's got its own, I want to say, island. It's its own thing. It's its own particular energy. I love that. I love that that's your number one. Me too. It's so important. Oh, I'm excited about the next qualities.
Well, you just segued so beautifully into it because the second one, and it's a word I hear every day, is discernment. And so, like, your husband was not wrong. However, you were using such a powerful level of discernment because this was a woman who subscribed to the summit. So it wasn't a random, you know, Facebook person that you've never met who's just angry and attacking you, right? Like that's somebody to block, probably. So you used your own discernment. You even had your very wonderful, loving husband who wants to protect you say, just block her. And so again, how powerful was that? That you're like, okay, I'm going to root into my own discernment and I'm going to decide what's true and right for me. And therefore you chose to respond. And so right now, there's so much happening as we've spoken about. People are awakening, people are channeling things they never channeled before. Like, you know, it's happening at a rapid speed from what I can see. And it can be easy to get lost in what is really happening. Is this, you know, really true? Or is this, you know, just, I don't know, propaganda, right? And so to have a level of discernment, because that discernment, I mean, what that means to me is feeling it in your soul and body as true for me or not true. And again, that's something that takes a lot of time, a lot of practicing and soul work to get to a place where you can really reside in sovereignty. Because, as mentioned, you can have a really powerful, really amazing spiritual people telling you, no, that's not right. That's not the way. But you gotta sit with it and be like, actually, it is. I know this, and I bless you to have your own beliefs, and I'm staying right here with what I know is true for my soul. And so yeah, kindness and then discernment, these are really powerful qualities in a leader.
And I love that, you chose discernment too, because there's so much judgment in the
Yeah.
world. And I love to do a mindset reset within my own inner judge that comes up and say, okay, how can we invite that inner judge into a place of discernment, which is a different energy? Discernment, because we all have that inner judge that comes up, naturally, that's within us. And then how can we do that mindset reset to step into that place of discernment, which is, in my humble opinion, is a much better frequency to be sitting within the place of being discerning than to be that judge, right? So I love that. Gosh, we could talk about
Oh,
so
I
many
know.
things for
PPDs,
so
I'm like,
long.
I'm like, keep me in check, please. I could just keep going.
And
Yeah,
what's your
we could be here
third
for
qual?
days.
I know, my goodness, loving this conversation so
Me
much.
too. It's just so fun. Like truly, thank you. It's just so fun. I'm loving this.
And so, what's your third quality?
Well, I don't really love like only this many. It's so hard to contain. So, it's an interesting ask because I'm not sure. I think I'm sure, but there's so many good ones, honesty, truth, integrity, love, compassion. And I think some of those are woven into the kindness and the discernment. So I think what I finally land on, because I want to put love in there, right? But it's like your mother-in-law, love is part of kindness. So I think I eventually settle on soul sovereignty, which we keep talking about, because it's different than kindness, and it's different from um, the discernment. Soul sovereignty is like, it's like that's sexy, right? Like to just be like, this is who I am. This is my truth. I know I'm acting from love, integrity, honesty, kindness, compassion. And like that is the lighthouse energy, to be a sovereign light that just shines. And I can feel it. It's just like an exhale, but it's powerful. It's soft, yet has boundaries. It has all of the things. And it just kind of circles back to, again, we don't have to fix anybody. There's times to intervene, but for the most part, inquire with curiosity, right? Ask questions, but let everybody just be who they are and trust that they're on their best path, and give the invites, but just be sovereign in your soul. And that's what attracts beauty and the tribe and the consciousness and all the things you want, is just being willing to be so rooted in your sovereignty.
I love that. Love that so much. So true. I love that you say it's sexy. It sure is, isn't it? It's just, yeah, it's where we really want to be. And I have those moments where I am in complete soul sovereignty. And that is when I feel my best and I feel sexy and I feel on purpose and I feel on fire and rooted in who I am, my authentic self. And yeah, and then there's other times that I have spiritual amnesia and I forget who I am. And
Yeah, of
it's
course.
usually when I get triggered by this world and the darkness, and I have to go back to the meditation and yoga and all of my practices to come back to that place of soul sovereignty, and meeting like beautiful people like you to remind and reflect and boost us. And I heard this story, was told this story about trees and how trees can get sick when there's other sick trees around them. So even trees are affected by other trees. And it was actually a guru that was telling me about how I needed to be a tree and surround myself with other trees that are healthy and doing well. And I think that is part of soul sovereignty, is creating community with like-minded souls that can reflect back to you who you are. And so thank you for being in my universe. This is just wonderful. I'm feeling my tree is going, yay, sunlight.
Yes, we're girly,
Beauty.
we're blossoming. You're like, thank you for seeing me. I see you.
Yeah. And for
I
those
love
of you that are listening right now, surround yourself with beautiful trees that see you and love you and understand you. And, don't just say, oh, that's so woo woo, or that's so, you and your hippie ideals, and downplay that, because it pushes the energy down, doesn't it? And being with like-minded, beautiful spiritual souls just raise the vibration of who you are. And I love this conversation. So good. Thank you. And so now I'm so excited to hear who your favorite leaders are. Like, who are your favorite leaders? Who really lights you up and inspires you?
It's an interesting question because I couldn't think of any. And so then in my channeling and chatting with spirit, I'm like, this is interesting. I don't have any that are living. I was taken to people who have crossed over. And so Dolores Cannon is a really big for me. I did QHHT for years. I took BQH, which is Beyond Quantum Healing, and I started to struggle with the modalities after a while, like I usually do with anything, because we're always evolving. And so I've recently created my own trainings called Quantum Activation and Quantum Hypnosis. And I was concerned about honoring the work. And, I've learned these principles from, these practices. Anyway, she's come in many times and it's just to the point I'm like crying. And she's like, yes, carry the torch forward, just honor where it came from. And so I do. I say after years of this, I've, developed my own method. And she keeps coming in, and apparently I'm connected to her lineage as well as Edgar Casey. Like, these are people and channelers that kind of paved the path for us to come after. So in some way, I feel like I'm kind of their like spirit child or something of this like new age. They came here when it was even denser than what we're experiencing now. And they really like started doing this work in a time that these things were not openly talked about. So those are some people that come to mind. And then it actually just came to me today. And of course, that's divine timing. David Bowie is not somebody that I like love his music. And, I don't really like 70s music, and forgive me if I'm like saying the wrong decade, but I do love that song of his, Space Odyssey. I even have it in some of like my yoga class playlists. And I just did a channeling on him today. And do you know that he is one of the few people with all of his fame that was never infiltrated by shadow networks? Because anytime you see someone with huge audiences, and I'm talking like beautiful spiritual people, usually at some point they are affected. And in the yoga world, I won't name the famous gurus, but I can think of three easily. Some of the biggest founding men of yoga, they were in fact abusing students. And so I I would never have thought of David Bowie as a leader. And, just from a personal standpoint, like, I think I'm cool enough. But, I grew up in West Virginia with conservative parents, and I'm still working on being me and what that looks like. Now I'm not somebody who, I just don't have time to like really put together the fun outfits and be like super wild and weird, but like I want to be that fully expressed kind of person. And man, when I was looking at pictures of David Bowie today, I was like, wow, he really did it in a time where that was not accepted. And that's that's really cool. So, I could go on forever, and I almost feel like those are just a few random ones, but I noticed that it's kind of people that have crossed over mostly, but I also think there's still people coming in this life that I have not yet met. So as a channeler, I try not to watch other people's things. I don't really want to be influenced by what they say. And when I'm channeling, I want it to be pure. I want it to be from source. I want it to be from consciousness. Plus, I'm really busy. Plus, I have 2 businesses and 4 kids. So I don't have a lot of time to sit around watching and listening to a lot of things. So I do think that there are some leaders alive today that I will be very excited to meet one day. And that time, I'm sure, will come.
I love it so much that you brought up David Bowie because I agree with you. I met him years and years and years ago. He to me is definitely was doing his light leadership work in his own right by
Mhm.
being a creative expression of what was channeling through him. And
Mhm.
oh, he's got a lot, when I met him, he had a lot of light around him. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, no, definitely. I definitely see a lot of the divas that express themselves on stage as being light leaders. And it takes a lot to just be authentically you. And I mean, David Bowie certainly did that, didn't he? He was his own rainbow, a cosmic rainbow in the world, and brought so much empowerment to this world. I love David Bowie. Oh, I love that you mentioned him. And like you, I've also had Louise Hay come through.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
she's come through a few times now for me as a guide, a mentor on in the spirit realm. And yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that answer. I love how everyone says something different. It's been such a beautiful rainbow of different expressions of what leadership means and who holds that and why. Like,
Mhm.
and it makes sense that you're choosing people that were embodying that kind of leadership and not to put any kind of labels on how that's being expressed, right? Because it
Right. Yeah.
for all of us, it's different. We all have our own unique brand of magic, and David Bowie was certainly bringing his own unique brand of magic to the world. and
Yes.
and I love that you honor the teachers that put you onto the path, and that you were the leader of your own life, your own mission, your own purpose work, and you're bringing that unique brand of magic that you have to bring to the world, and that you're being supported energetically by these, change makers. Who weren't
Oh,
they to be doing such powerful work when the
so
planet was
powerful.
so dense? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. Oh, beautiful. And as we come to the end of our conversation here, that has been so much fun, this is the biggest and most powerful question of all. And it is, if you were made leader of the world, what would you do? Where would you start?
Well, I think we're doing it,
Yeah.
aren't we?
Yes.
This is it. Like connecting what we are doing right now. I did have a vision of you earlier. I was thinking about the lighthouse energies, and I was like, okay, until today, like, actual eye contact and frequency and code exchanges. Like, I felt a connection and I knew it was solid, but I'm just going to kind of do this analogy where, it's almost like a static connection. It was real, it was true, but then just over these conversations and now today, it's like, it's solid now. And we get overwhelmed with there's so much to do. And that's what my guides keep telling me, because as my channel has opened, I actually took a break from channeling for some weeks because I was like, there's so much. Like, what do I channel on? I don't even know where to start. And they were like, just start. And I was like, okay, but what? Talk about what? And they're like, just start. And then it was even like yesterday, I'm like, what do I talk about? And they're like, Jolie, just start. But if you really want something, people like it when you pull cards. So just sit down, pull a card or two. And we have that in common because you have your Oracle decks. And I now have over 100 decks that I've collected over 10 years. So I'm like, okay. So I've just been sitting down and just pulling a card and letting the energy flow from there. But we're doing it. And I am so excited. I think all the work I've done up to this point has been great. Like hundreds, if not thousands of people have graduated from the yoga teacher trainings. Like that's so powerful, so beautiful. That's definitely co-creating the new earth. But like you and I and this summit and these conversations where we're like really activating is where it's at. This is changing the world. And I'll just circle back to like you and I we're not just a person. Our energy is as powerful as potentially millions of others on this earth. And we're doing it. It's happening.
I love that. I love that you know, how you described almost like I saw them too as like electrical currents of energy, but then now meeting like this and having this conversation, it's a weaving and
Mm-hmm.
now it's woven. And there is something about having that spiritual connection and then meeting. And, it's going to be amazing when we meet in the physical reality too and can hug each other because that's
Let's
going to
start
just be incredible.
levitating.
I know.
Keep your feet on the earth. Don't actually fly away.
But yeah, definitely listening to those signs because they are signs that guide us and lead us to where those relationships need to be woven because we are really the weavers weaving and birthing this new feminine paradigm into existence, right? It starts out as a vision, a hope, a
Yeah.
dream, and then we go, okay, what are we going to do with that dream? And that's why my speech is not, I have a dream, which, was the start that Martin Luther King Jr. started. We have a dream. But now, how can it be an empowered vision? How can we co create this? And it is by having these conversations, it is by upsetting the apple carts, it is by shining the light in the dark places in the world and having the uncomfortable conversations as well. Like, I love that. That's how you and I met, is so many people are so quiet about politics these days because they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to upset the apple cart. And I don't blame them. They want peace. They want happiness, they want joy, and life right now is hard for a lot of people. And so they don't want to talk about it. And what I love about you, Jolie, is that you are talking about uncomfortable things, but in a way that is so beautiful and so graceful and full of kindness and love and compassion. It's that soft and strong energy channeling through you that is so needed in this world. If we are going to raise consciousness and birth the new feminine paradigm, it is my feeling that we need to talk about uncomfortable things in a way that is healing, that is enlightening, which you are masterful at doing. So thank you. That's what brought us together.
Thank you. And I really felt that the emotions were welling there as you were speaking, and I so appreciate you. Thank you for those words, and thank you for that that honoring and seeing each other fully in that.
Yeah, it's important, isn't it?
Ugh, it's
Mm,
everything.
yeah, everything. It's like lifelines to our soul, um, purpose, work, and mission and validation that we are doing it and we are the change that we want to see in this world by embodying it. So, thank you. Do you have any last and final words of wisdom for us today?
I think that it's simple really. Life, happiness, joy, it's not easy because we complicate it, but I just keep going back to the basics. Drink a lot of water, eat nourishing foods, get enough sleep, do self-care, move your body, get in the sunlight, get in contact with earth. Have you been singing, dancing, and playing? And if not, can you bring those back in? And like it always like boils down to such simplicity. Just do the things that make you happy and nourished. And that is always enough.
Thank you. It's so true. I'd like to just speak into what's coming up for me around that is when, and this is my own personal experience, when we do get triggered, it is hard. It's harder to remember to do those things, right? We go
Yeah.
in, can go fall right into that fear, that anxiety, the anger, the cup being empty. And in those times, if you can have anchors, friends, or a support network around you to help you remember, that's so powerful. Because I had this, I know all this stuff. I teach all this stuff for
Yeah.
years. I've done yoga retreats and all of it on self care. But even I got triggered this last week, and a friend of mine said, I think you need to take a spa day. Like, I think you need to go and just take a whole day of self care. And I went, you know what? You're right. I desperately need to do that. And if she hadn't reminded me, I would have been in my spiritual amnesia place and not have done that, right? So it's really important to have beautiful people in your life that can reflect, that love you and see, yeah, I think you're a bit tired. I think you need to fill up your cup, Schamet. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm so doing that. So I did that and went on a walk with my dog and like turned the music up and had a dance around the house and did some yoga and ate some beautiful food and drank a lot of water and had a bath, and I just did a whole day of self-care. And then whew, my cup was full and I was like, all right, I'm ready for my mission again.
Yeah.
I got my
And
superwoman cape on. I'm ready to go.
yeah, totally, completely. And something we say in yoga teacher training is it's not selfish, it's selfful. And you just said it, like when you do these things for yourself, because especially a lot of women, we're mothers, we're like wearing all the hats. Oh, like me taking this time for myself. I'm not with my child, or somebody else is driving them to soccer or whatever. We forget that it's self fullness. It's not selfish when we take this time for ourselves. And that's what allows your pitcher to fully fill so that you can pour into everyone's cup. And so thank you for sharing about that and doing that. And for anyone who doesn't have that circle, because I know a lot of people are feeling lonely and maybe they feel like they don't have anyone that understands them. Again, doing those self-care things, that vibe attracts your tribe. I've heard that tribe is culturally appropriated these days. So I say that, from love, because I feel like I have so many tribal past lives. But I love that, your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you're lonely and you're looking for those conscious people to connect with, do the practices, do the self-care, go to the places where these people gather, and you will you will connect with
Yeah,
them.
I heard about that too, about the appropriation. But look, if we started going into that, we wouldn't be able to say hardly
I
anything
didn't do
because it's
anything.
all, I mean, we're a
Yeah.
melting pot of all different cultures, and tribe is such an important word for me too. It's yeah, and I think it's about respect, and I think we're very respectful in that we're wanting to bring the tribal, um, the emotions, the feelings, um, the importance of those tribal roots to a Western world that so desperately needs to understand how important tribe is. It's
Yeah.
really important. And now, for those of you that are listening, you have many, many tribes and many circles, and of everyone that's in the summit. I know, Jolie, you've got a beautiful circle, an inner circle, and there's so many of us that do have these circles and things happening that now we're connected. And what I love about the summit the most is it's like a directory of all these
Yeah.
incredible healers and light workers and light leaders, and so now for those of you that are listening, you have like the whole circle, that have all kinds of circles within the circle. It's wonderful. So and you're full circle yoga, so here we are, I'm having another full circle moment. Did you want to tell us a little bit about some of what you offer?
Sure. And My apologies, my camera decided it had enough.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so through Full Circle Yoga School, I do all kinds of yoga teacher trainings, hatha vinyasa, kundalini, yin, restorative breathwork, meditation, channeling. I could go on. Lots of retreats. All of my retreats are sacred adventure, where we are co-creating the new earth, anchoring the light codes and all the things around the planet. And then if anyone ever aspires to travel to Key West, you can find me there in my temple space, offering lots of workshops, trainings, retreats, and private sessions as well. And of course, I do everything on Zoom. Most of those things are also online trainings. You can come in person. You can do it all. So I will leave it at that. And those that are interested can check it out.
Oh, wonderful. You're doing some amazing things on the planet. I love it. And I'm so over the moon excited that you are going to be joining us on the 3-day workshop. Oh my goddess, so excited, so excited. It's going to be so good. I can already feel the energy of your like channeled transmission of the lighthouse. Like, whew, it's going to be so potent and so powerful and so wonderful. So, those of you that are listening right now, join us because this beautiful being, this lighthouse, is going to be channeling some important downloads and messages for us that are going to be helping all of us really anchor our light on this planet so that we can have the energy to keep going even when, the chaos and the darkness and the storm comes. We can just anchor in and be that lighthouse. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your offering, Jolie?
Well, thank you. You just said it so beautifully. Yeah, this is something you don't want to miss. I don't even mind saying that because this is the work we're here to do. And we must anchor this light collectively to shine so bright that anything not in and of the light cannot stand. I just got full body chill bumps. This is one of the most empowering things that we can do together during this summit. Everyone here is so amazing, so gifted, so talented. If you can make this one, be there because it will change you. It will change everyone around you and it will change the planet.
Thank you. The what I keep getting intuitively is that this 3-day workshop is going to fill up everyone's cup so that their lighthouses are strong and burning bright. And so this is why I called it a retreat. It's a workshop, but it's also retreat because it's a place that you can come and fill up your cup and root down into the earth stronger. So when that storm does come, because, well, there's a lot of storms around the place these days, we can be the trees that move with the storm and our branches won't break. And we can be on this leadership container of energy that lights up our lighthouses even brighter. So thank you, Jolie. Thank you so
Thank
much for the
you.
work you do.
Thank you. This has been an honor and so much fun. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. And stay tuned, everyone, because I just have this strong, strong intuition and feeling, and Jolie does too, that we are going to be doing retreats around the world in power centers, power places. It's always been a calling of mine, and I've done a few of them already. At the moment, I'm in my academic cocoon and enjoying my academic cocoon immensely, actually. But I will be butterflying back out, and birds of a feather, Jolie and I will be flying
Flying
together for
together.
sure.
Oh, yes, flying together. I love that so much better. I've learned so much today. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So many blessings to you in Florida. Sending you so much love from New Zealand.
Thank you.
Thank you.